Whoop! Welcome everyone to the Wednesday night live show. Tim and me right now. Phillip will be joining us here shortly. He's running a little bit behind. I know Allie. Allie will be back with us soon. We promise, right, Timmy? We promise she'll be back with us.
I'm sorry, John. I have sacrificed my current existence to become a mime, so I won't be speaking on the show.
Which street corner will you be at, Tim? Will you be at one of them big metropolitan cities, or will you just stay in Atlanta, Georgia? In the box, in your house.
Yes. I think I'll keep my day job. Yeah. I don't think I would pass off as a very good mime.
Hey, you never know, man. I mean, you'd be surprised if you look, I don't know what word to use without offending a lot of people, but if you look the part, you could make some good money. You could make some good.
Exactly. And Jason, vapes, you are absolutely 100% correct. I'm nothing but just another vape bot on X.
Oh,
hold on. Just a vape bot here. Don't mind me. Don't mind me shooting down your propaganda. Don't mind me. Anyway, I know. I think John, you hit the nail on the head. You said you didn't know what word to properly use or what word you should use.
Not to offend a bunch of people.
Not to offend it. If you're a mime, you don't have to use words to offend anybody. You can offend everybody with just hand gestures.
Just your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that works. It's international. It's international. It works everywhere.
Everyone knows what that one means.
It's crazy. It's crazy. There's a great scene in 2.5 Men where the little kid gets in trouble for flipping off the teacher, and then Charlie's teaching him new ways to do it, and he goes, "This is the crank."
Well, now that you brought that up, and I know that if anybody scrolls social media, especially Instagram is great for this stuff. So me and a buddy of mine, we've just gotten into this habit where like we no longer message each other with like actually words or salutations or anything. We just find the videos on Instagram where it's always those creative, like, middle finger videos. We just send those to each other all day long. It's just, screw you, buddy. Screw you.
Well, at the end of that scene, the kid's like, "I don't understand." He goes, "How about this one, Dad?" And he puts up this finger and he goes, "Nothing." He goes, "I don't understand. Who decided? Who decided?" And it's true. You think about it. Who decided that this was going to be, the gesture to offend millions worldwide?
I have no idea, but you know what? You bring up an interesting Google subject. So we should probably try to find out exactly where that originated. Just like, Gene Simmons loves to say that he invented this.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, if any of y'all pay attention to Gene Simmons, he doesn't do this. Gene Simmons does this.
Yeah.
Okay. He uses, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think in sign language, I think that means I love you. And I could be wrong if anybody speaks sign language. But Ronnie James Dio would do this. And if you read your history on Ronnie James Dio, his grandmother, he had an Italian grandmother or something.
Right. That's the horns.
It's the horns, but this was a symbol to ward off evil, evil feelings or evil spirits or something like that. There was a name for it. I can't remember the name of it, but he adopted that. And so, yes, Ronnie James Dio.
There you go. Addie's got the right word. I was just getting ready to say
it. How do you say the? Is it Malaccio or
Malocchio?
Malocchio, the Malocchio. Okay, yeah, all right. I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah,
I don't have my vowel
yeah,
pronunciation.
it's
Yeah,
the ward off the evil spirits. Yeah, my grandmother used to
that.
do it.
He was Don. He was absolutely the best vocalist in metal today. And so there's your Ronnie James Dio trivia for the day.
See, you learn so much on this show, guys, so
Don't
much.
don't believe Gene Simmons when he tells you he invented this, because he didn't.
Yeah.
That's like Al Gore saying he invented the internet. You
Yeah,
know,
the internet, yeah,
it's full of shit. Full of
and
shit.
calling whales and, climate control or climate
Climate
yeah.
change. Yeah, whatever. Go on, Al. And your wife was a horrible witch who invented the PMRC. So, we could go on for hours.
Yeah, Gene Simmons, anything to market himself, that's all he really cared. I love the band Kiss, but that it got to the point where it was like Kiss was everywhere in my cereal, in my freaking gums, in my fucking toys. It was everywhere, and we bought all into it. We bought all into it.
Well, let's just be thankful Kiss is not on our vapes.
Yeah, yeah. Coming soon to a vape shop near you.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Simmons
The unmasked Kiss
puff.
vape. Yep.
Yeah, it'll be an album cover, of course, or
Yep.
just him on the device. Well, if he does do that, be careful because the FDA is putting the hammer down on us. It looks like they're full force going out and going after shops, and this is looking like war. It's looking like war, Tim. I don't know how else to call it.
Yeah,
What else?
just more vape oppression, just in our midst. But you had to naturally assume that this was probably some of the additional steps, and I think you probably talked about it at the right time. You were like, that
Yeah,
first story popped up, and it was like, we haven't seen any of these raids, any of these
yeah,
sorts of things, because I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, how often do, DEA or FDA or, whatever arm of regulation they are going to walk into a vape shop?
yeah,
Most people are like, I'm just going to keep doing this until they come and get me, thinking that they're not.
yeah,
And look, I think in this particular case, while I'm a law-abiding citizen, I have only ever been to jail 2 times in my life, and neither involved me being in handcuffs or being put behind bars. I was on the other side in both
you're a
cases.
snitch. No, I'm
I
kidding.
was, yep. Yeah, yeah. Do you see the stitches? You see the
See
snitches
the
get snitches
stitches.
get stitches. No, my first time was at the FBI detention holding center down in DC, but they wouldn't let us in the back because they had just arrested a bunch of protesters and they thought that would
Oh,
be intimidating to a bunch of children. My second time was when I was delivering My second time was when I was delivering auto parts for a Fairfax Auto Parts, and I had to deliver auto parts to the Lorton County Jail or Lorton
yeah,
County Lorton Prison motor pool, where the guys working there were minimum security guys. So
yeah,
that's only 2 times. But I'm all for civil disobedience in this case. I think that I think uh, you know over our dead bodies, right? I
yeah,
mean, we're trying to save our lives. We're trying to defeat the harms of combustible tobacco, and people, well, not everybody's honest, but the majority of
yeah,
people are
yeah, yeah,
honestly selling vapes with the hopes of helping people get off of cigarettes. And so I think that there's a lot of overreach and a lot of BS going on, and so I applaud people for showing resistance and having some civil disobedience in this case. But at the same time, you probably just had to imagine this was the next thing in their
yeah.
arsenal that they were going to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was coming. Why now? That's the message I would like to get. The answer I would like to get to. Why now? I mean, what's changed in their
I don't know, because
yeah,
wasn't it not that long ago that we were talking about how they were saying that they didn't have the money for
yeah,
this kind of enforcement and regulation, and so the only way to defeat it was to effectively ban it.
yeah,
But they are going after shops in states where technically they're banned.
Yeah, they're completely a banned product. Flavors are banned, and it just really surprised. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, yes, okay, the product flavored vapes are banned in these vape shops. I get that, but yet they're right out on display. That's what I didn't get. Is there was no, hey, you got to know somebody to get some. You know what I mean? Or hey, come to the back door and we'll take care of you. Or hey, or as tricky as the ones here in California, where hey, go to the website first, order it from the website, come pick it up at the shop. You know what I mean? That was their workaround here, and that's the workaround right now here in California. Go to the website, order what you need, come to the shop, pick it up. So the website is supposedly registered in whatever state that flavored vapes are okay with. So you just go there, you order, and you come pick up at the shop. No, these were fully displayed on the counters. So it wasn't like they had a lot of work to do. They were there. They were right there in front of them. So it's surprising to me that, and I get it. And some people are that type of people where it's like, fuck you, come get me. You know what I mean? I'm going to put it right here in front of you. And I'm going to, and think about how long it's taken. Rhode Island has been flavor banned for quite some time. One of the first states, right? I think it was Michigan, Michigan, Massachusetts,
Yeah, the north
and New Jersey, Rhode Island. Those were some of the first states that had the first official full flavor ban statewide. So you got to think those flavors have been up on that vape shop for quite some time, and now you're going to start coming in and throwing your weight around and confiscating. I was at 10,000, which seems like a lot.
Some 60-year-old dude who had a vape shop in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And I did see the picture. John shared the article about a day or so ago. And yeah, they were showing it really wasn't an article. It was more of a news report, like a video kind of thing. But they were showing pictures of the supposed vape shop. And I mean, it was just like on display, glass cases with like all this stuff in it. Now, I don't know. Do you think that maybe the angle from this guy was, well, I didn't know, I didn't know it was a problem. I didn't know there was a law. But at the same time,
the old guy that steals batteries from the store doesn't know he's doing it.
Exactly. So I mean, dare I say that he was being very direct with his idea of continuing to sell them in the face of a general ban. But the thing that really presides for me over all of this stuff, I mean, when you really think about it, at the core level is the government, they can enforce, all the regulation that they want to enforce, but they're missing the mark completely on this one because, they followed that story up, and the last comment the lady made was she said, that vaping was banned in the state, in order to crack down on youth vaping. And I'm like, the kids aren't even getting them from those places. Those are adult shops. You know what I mean? So leave us alone.
Leave us alone. God damn it. Leave us alone. Timmy, how's your week going?
Well, my week has been rather drab up until today, where it was just sort of a flurry of activity. But being the nerd that I am, and being the ever so stoic HOA board member that I tout, I try to do as much as I can for the community and try to save money where you can. So today was just one of those crap days where I was supposed to meet the cleaning company at the pool. I could not remotely unlock the bathroom doors from my house, so I go down to the pool and I find out that we've got a bad circuit down at the pool. So I spent a good hour and a half running around to Home Depot and replacing GFCI outlets, trying to troubleshoot the issues. And I was completely unsuccessful. So we have an electrician coming out tomorrow, and we're in that mad scramble right now. We're trying to get the pool open by the 22nd of this month so that we can facilitate the vaping children, so they can go down to the pool and they can go have a swim.
Yeah, shoot their squirt guns at your signs and
Well, you know what? Thank goodness this year is a whole new year, John. I'm not going to have as many signs, and
yeah.
I've learned my lesson. I've procured actual signs. I'm not printing stuff out on my printer and taping it to walls. I've actually grown up a little bit, and I bought some signs that he can squirt all day long,
once,
and
baby.
the ink's not going to run. None of that shit's going to happen. But anyway, I guess I should cap the whole thing off with just saying that I had a wonderful weekend.
Good.
We jaunted off and went and saw Judas Priest this weekend at Ameris Bank Amphitheater.
Old school.
Old Rob Halford coming in strong at 72 years old is
Yeah, shit.
still
Yeah.
cranking out the tunes. He's still riding it on his motorcycle.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was fun. So we had a couple IPAs and rocked out like kids. So
Yeah, we've got you ready for this? We got 38 Special coming and Great White.
Well, the new Great White. So
the new Great White.
Yeah, Jack Russell no longer sings for them.
Yeah.
They got this young kid, Brett Carlisle, who from he's a Nashville kid. He has another band called AON or All or Nothing. And they got most of the core guys still in the band. So anyway, you should go see the show. They put on a good show.
Yeah, it's one of the concerts at the state fair or the county fair. So it's 38 Special. Who else was there gonna be there? Yeah, it's Great White and the Commodores. The three of them. Three of them. Yeah, I don't know what happened. The fourth one I think is dead. So
but well, yeah, they did Sunday Morning, right? They were the ones that sang Sunday Morning. Easy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was Lionel Richie and the boys.
Lionel Richie, yeah.
Easy like Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids, this is not a live karaoke show. It's a vape show. So
we sing so well, the algorithm just got thrown off, Tim. They're like, is Lionel Richie on that show?
Probably just got a strike because I nailed it. I nailed it on key.
I've had a pretty quiet week. I'm doing my best. I haven't had what is the word? What is the name of that where you can't get to sleep?
Insomnia.
Yes. I got home at 5 o'clock. I set this show up. I set up the In the Vapor show. Completely all done, mopped the floor, was in bed by 7, could not sleep, got up, made a hot dog, which I think was the wrong thing to do at 10 o'clock in the morning. Ate the hot dog, took a drink of some iced tea, Arnold Palmer, and then tried to go back to bed, tossing and turning, got up, turned the TV on, went in the living room, sat on the recliner, thought I could fall asleep. I have not been to sleep yet. So, and I have to go to work tonight at 9 o'clock.
You're riding that second wind. You know?
I hope it kicks in because it's going to be a rough night.
Did anyone catch the subliminal messaging in his story that he said, ate my hot dog, drank my iced tea, Arnold Palmer, and he just kind of threw that in real quick. So I think secretly all of you now have a craving for Arnold Palmer iced tea. I have a feeling.
It's the best iced tea out there. Oh, yeah. So I'm hoping
Addie wants a wrench.
Yeah.
Addie wants to give Addie a wrench.
Give Addie a wrench. I don't know how to do that. On YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
He wants a wrench so he can kick some people. I don't know. Do we have a menace, Addie? If we got menace. If we have a menace in there, thank goodness, knock on wood, we don't get many of those anymore. Remember, we used to get the racist bots and all that stuff.
We hammered that pretty well, though.
Yeah,
we did take that. Addie, you're gonna have to send me your.
We need a mod. We need some moderators.
Yeah,
I can't keep my hand on. I can't keep my head on a swivel.
I think we have to. I have to have his YouTube address or his YouTube calling or whatever that thing is called.
And then Addie, you have to stand on your head and you have to rub your belly, stick out your tongue, pat your head with the other hand, and say your ABCs backwards.
Yeah. I'll do it in here. I don't want to do it while I'm doing the show in case I hit something wrong and then the show comes off of YouTube. So we'll figure it out and we'll add Addie as a give him a wrench of God.
A mafia heavy. We're gonna Addie, you're now the Wednesday Night Live show mafia heavy.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Just don't ban me, bro.
Yeah,
Just
don't ban any one of us. Oh man. Oh well, Tim, you know what time it is, buddy.
I do.
You
I'm
do.
feeling good about this. I think I know what time it is. Hold on, let me have a sip of Pepsi because
Yeah,
I'm down with Coke, up with Pepsi.
would that be cherry Pepsi that you're drinking, Tim?
Not just cherry Pepsi, John. That's wild cherry Pepsi.
Wild fire. That's
Yes,
the good
sir.
shit right there,
Yeah, it
man.
is.
That is the good shit. And I will play the feeding the ducks. No. Is that the one I use? Wait, there is.
Hey,
Yeah, that is, baby.
Yeah. Gotta get. I feel like I should do a Spinal Tap moment. Like since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday Night Live Show. And if you couldn't see me, you'd think I was a really good DJ. But because you can see me, you realize that I'm just a big nerd with long hair saying hello to everybody. So let's see who's here in the chat with us tonight. We got 22 chiming in. I'm sure we got 22 wonderful voices in the chat, starting with Real Strong with Miss Mallory Gates. Great to see you, Miss Mallory. I love Mallory. She gives Tahir, Turk, whatever his dumb name is, gives that man a run for his money every day of the week. I love it when she brings out the vape bat and she just beats that man's ankles because he's such a dope.
I'm surprised he hasn't blocked her yet.
He's well, you know what, he will there. I'll say that, yes, he has been very tolerant of allowing the argument, but you realize he's the only person that he has to talk to is us. Like no one else gives a shit about his post but the people who are trying to prove him wrong. And we got the wonderful rifleman. I'm gonna have to get a snare drum and a couple sticks so I can drum roll into that one. Rifleman. No, I don't know. I miss saying I missed Lost World of JJ. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know why he's been on the show. I know. I missed my Land of the Lost one. We got the wonderful an all new titled Addy Mafia Heavy Toonie. In the chat with us tonight. Addy Toonie's going to get a wrench, so y'all behave yourselves because Addy don't fuck around. I got a gnat flying in my face. We got Michael Redfern in the house. Great to see you, Mr. Michael Redfern. How are you? And we have our wonderful and always debonair resident pirate James R. It's going to make people walk off the plank tonight. Addy gets a wrench. James gets a plank. And if anybody messes up, you're taking a short walk off of a short plank. That's basically how that's going down. We got Don Shirako Ayako in the house. Great to see you, Don. How are you, buddy? We got Jason Vapes. Good to see you, Jason. Are you still taking a break from social media? This isn't social media, so you can always join us. We're not as annoying as social media. We're just, we probably just talk a little too much, but that's okay. Yeah. We got the great and wonderful Steve Tottenham in the house. Great to see you, Mr. Steve Tottenham. How are you, sir? I know we got a few. We got Microwave Oven in the house. You know what? Microwave Oven, you are my best friend always, because you save me in a pinch when I need to heat stuff up all the time. And I just want to apologize up front. And I'm really sorry because I try to be as empathetic as I possibly can, but I do leave you locked in on 1 second. I always cut you a little early and I leave you.
We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear the ding.
I leave you with 1 second left and you're probably looking at your watch like, well, this MFer, will you finally just zero me out, man? Great to see you, Microwave Oven. How you doing? Who else we got in here? Hold on. That Microwave Oven may have taken the cake for the best screen name on their show. It's to the point. It's not like some crazy license plate where you have to decipher it along the way. It's just microwave damn oven. Who else we got in here? We got hold on, Michelle Elliott in the house. Great to see you, Michelle Elliott. And I will answer your question. My family is doing good. Mom and dad, they're getting up there in age. And so, they're going through their old age motions and stuff like that. So, I dread the phone call when they don't know how electronics work. But other than that, they're hanging in there. They're doing strong for 81 and 82 years old. Heck yeah. My mom just turned 82. Dad will turn 82 in December this year. So, Doing well, doing well. Can't drive the car long distances anymore, but they're doing well. Who else we got in here? Hold on, I'm scrolling. I'm trying to go slow enough so I don't miss anybody.
think you got everybody.
I'm waiting for Curtis Clemens to show up, but I haven't seen Curtis yet. Well, and that's it. That's it. That's all the people that are talking. So all the silent voices that are sitting there peeping in on us. And if it's you, FDA, we're watching you too, buddy.
Yeah, I think they're watching and listening. They're watching and listening.
Yeah, because we give away so many secrets about the vape industry, you know, that certainly they could probably
we are so tied in, Tim. We are so connected that they have to watch the show. They just know. They know. They go, Tim and John, those two bastards. I mean, we run the whole vape industry secretly. Secretly.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it by looking at us.
No. I got, 2 Lamborghinis in the garage. I got the Bentley out front, shit.
Yeah. Yep, it's disguised as what, like a Hyundai or a Kia Soul or something like
that. Yeah, I got that one. There's Anthony Hart. There's
Anthony Hart. How are you, Anthony? Good to see you, bud. Thanks for chiming in. We're always happy to have you here every week. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, chime in with your thoughts.
Join the convo. Yeah, we love talking to you people. Don't just listen to us like we're the experts. We're just like you guys, we're advocates, one and the same, who want to preserve this thing. Oh, did everybody? Wait, I got to cover up some names. I got one of those new ones. Hide it. Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, you know what? I've learned. I speak internet, Anthony. So nobody takes your all caps as yelling and screaming at us.
Yeah.
We've learned to, kind of just filter that stuff out, Yeah. Like now, if you had just put 2 letters like FU, then
I'd be
maybe we would have taken it. But check this out, though. I'll cover up the names. But 20,000 puffs, John. Adjustable wattage from 17 to, I believe, 25. But it gets better. It's got a graphic on it. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. That's some fancy shit right there.
Yes, sir. Anyway, just had to show off a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's just the never ending new design. And I mean, the screens now, like we said, great, got all this extra stuff on these devices that we just throw in the garbage can. But yeah, again, we love them. I'm starting to find out that I use my Big Mod very seldom. Probably the only time I use it is in the morning, because I want some different flavor than whatever I have in my disposable. So I want a breakfast, something for breakfast. That's the one thing I maybe I haven't seen one out there, but there aren't very many dessert flavors in disposables. So I get that. I think it has to do with everyone wanting something mini and fresh,
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to say that I've had an epiphany or anything like that. I'm going through one of those periods of my vape journey where I've done this before. There's nothing, unusual other than the fact that it's packaged a little bit differently. But I think I've just gotten into sort of like one of those lazy periods of my vaping where I don't want all the hubbub and stuff. I don't want to have to sit down and clean tanks and change wicks and all that other stuff. So I mean, all that stuff back there is ready to rock and ready to go. I got bottles on the shelf, so I can go right back to that if I want to. But these would just become a convenient thing. I work all day long. I've got I'm working my butt off, and I just don't. I haven't been finding the time to just sort of kick back and kind of tinker and do all that stuff. So, I mean, you're on Zoom meetings all day. You're like, which is funny.
Do I really want to re-wick this right now? Oh, wait, I have this. And
but it's just funny to me because, now that we're post-COVID, right? So, I mean, a lot of people have transitioned to working from home in a lot of cases. I mean, not every job allows you to do that, but, I'm on all these it's either Zoom or Teams or whatever. Yeah. Everybody's vaping on these Teams calls. Like you see, they're all trying to be discreet and stuff. They'll be like, they talk a little bit and then they're like, they try to tuck it in their hand.
Yeah.
Like, look at all you people.
Sneak a toke.
all you vapors out there on your teams meeting.
Don't
So, and
hide it, man. Don't fucking hide it. Be
nobody
proud.
complains. Nobody complains. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm getting a call from HR or my boss after the
Yeah.
call, like, "Hey, we saw you, vaping on the teams meeting."
HR calling you because you're vaping on the Zoom call. That'd be messed up. Oh, Tim, you really upset Gina in accounting because
Yeah.
you were vaping during
Yeah,
the
we had
Zoom
a
call.
report. We got a report. It was noted that you were vaping on the team's call, and they're
Yeah.
worried about secondhand vapor.
All right. I want to get this clear. I want to clear this up, and I want to get your opinion.
Yeah.
There is a difference between the vape shop and the smoke shop, correct?
Sorry, repeat that. I was reading Jason's
There is a
comment.
difference between the vape shop
Mhm.
and the smoke shop.
I agree. I agree.
The difference in there's Philip. Let me let Philip in.
There he is.
Philip.
Phillip
There he is.
Kirschberg
Is in the house.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Can you hear me, Papa?
We hear you, buddy. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Papa, do you hear me? What musical? Come on, Philip. What musical?
What musical? Ah, here we go.
Papa, do you hear me?
I don't know.
I think a little mouse sang that. I might be thinking American Tail. Was that from American Tail? You guys got to remember American Tail.
Phillip,
Come on, man. We're on the right age.
Okay. So here's what you're asking me about animated films at the moment. I'm having technical difficulties. Goddamn it! I know. I am so pleased to see you all. Thank you so much. What's happening?
No, Ern got it. Ern got it.
Yeah, Yentl.
Ern.
That's right.
Yeah.
However,
we went right into the Streisand questions.
Yeah.
Very bold. I like where your head's at.
Ern for the win.
Earn for the win.
So many.
Your mic's good. Your mic's good, Philip. Relax. There you go. So I was asking Tim.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the vape shop and the smoke shop, correct? With you as well, Philip?
When you say vape shop versus smoke shop, what comes
there's
to
a difference
mind?
between those two shops.
Absolutely.
And the service.
There are also vape shops. Let's just say that the term vape shop has not necessarily become. It doesn't mean any less than it once did, and I think it should mean everything and in the very highest of standards. Let's just say that I believe everyone has had to diversify a little bit. Thank you, federal government. All that said, there's a point at which I think diversification strays a bit far from harm reduction. Let's just say if you decide to get into the adult novelty market, things of that nature, selling, batteries for different kind of devices, let's just say I don't think that belongs right next to the 6 milligram.
Right.
I agree.
What I'm getting at too is the fact that the vape shop is going to be more worried about not selling to a minor, is going to be worried more about selling to a minor than the smoke shop. Because this is a story that I got coming up. I think, Tim, you have the link to it.
Yeah.
In the private chat. I think I put it in there. Yeah.
Yep. I'll get it. Yep.
Yeah. So I wanted to address that fact first, that I myself feel there's a difference in not just what you're getting at the vape shop compared to what you're going to be able to get at the smoke shop. But I think the level of understanding the vape products and the e-liquid is going to be much better in the vape shop, where in the smoke shop, he's just like, they're not going to ask you how long you smoked or how many packs of cigarettes you smoked today. They're going to show you a device. They're going to show you some liquid and they're going to sell it. And you maybe you come back, maybe you don't. They really don't care. But this is a story that came out of, I forget the state there, Tim.
I will tell you in a minute. It's with Suffolk County, Virginia.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Well, no, but I wanted, somebody pointed out too, I smoke shop, vape shop, and then a lot of things, and it was mentioned that a lot of bodegas pop up from here, here and there, and those are right in line with more down the path of the smoke shop, where it's really just you know, they know what people are looking for, and they know that if they have a product that people have a demand for, you know, they're willing to put them in those particular shops, and they're not going to be able to give you too much advice on that. Ironically, the pool guy was working down at the pool, and the pool guy came in, and he was like, hey, he was asking me, because I had my disposable. He's like, hey, which ones do you vape? And I started telling him about different kinds that are out there. So anyway, you can educate people. So I'm just like kind of like a rolling kind of information vape shop of information. Yeah, do you want to check into this article, John? You want to talk about this thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
All
and
right.
open it. Yeah,
I've missed you guys.
I missed you too, brother. How you been?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Share screen.
Share the
All right,
screen.
I'm sure there's gonna be lots of words in here that I probably have to learn to pronounce on the fly, but that's okay. that's you know, it's a good test of your ability to utilize the English language. So here's the picture, the classic
what a bust.
picture. Yeah, look at that. There you go. There's all the stuff that was
But what's missing
confiscated.
though? What's missing in that photo? The guy fully armed with the AK-47,
Yeah,
a couple
exactly. Yeah.
shotgun, the mayor of the city, you
Yeah,
know.
it was definite hodgepodge of stuff there. But yeah, I mean, really impressive, guys. Way to go ahead and just, you know, completely exploit the fact that people are trying to quit smoking with these things. But anyway, let's carry on. So Suffolk County Police today arrested a man for selling flavored vape products to a person under the age of 21 during a compliance check in Coram. I don't know where Coram is, but I'm well, is this in the US? Suffolk County is in Virginia. Anyway, in response to community complaints, 6th Precinct Crime Section officers checked 7 locations for age compliance related to the sale of vape products. One store was not in compliance. Muhammad Shawani, 40, of Selden, an employee of Smiley Convenience Smoke Shop located at 191 Middle Country Road, sold flavored vape products to an undercover agent who is under the age of 21. Well, if you're 16, you can get a job, kids. But if you're under 21, you're in a sting operation. The large quantity of flavored products were seized. Sherwani was issued a field appearance ticket and is scheduled to be arraigned at First District Court and Central Islip on a later date. Now, a criminal charge is here, the disclaimer. Now, but let's talk about this for a minute, right? Because I'm curious to get some feedback, because, you know, we say a lot of things about what we'd like to see in terms of how you deal with this issue, right? Because we're vehemently against banning of flavored vapes and vaping products in general, because of the aspect that they help adults to quit smoking. But we've always said, and we've been very vehement in our commentary when we say, well, where are the parents? Where are the parents in all of this equation? Like, why are the kids getting their hands on vapes? The parents are responsible. Okay, so that's one argument that we use.
Yeah.
But one of our other arguments that we use, and so we can't be hypocritical here, right, is that we say one of the ways they could regulate this and still keep it available for adults is if they regulate shit like this. So slap fines on these idiots that sell stuff to kids and people who are underage without checking IDs, and doing a disservice to the community and to the industry in general, and putting everyone else at a level of peril where they're having to throw away businesses and give up their livelihoods for the sake of you know, trying to help people. And so I have to say I applaud the fact that they are going after people who are breaking the law.
I applaud none of this. Not one iota, not one syllable wasted on this. What this is it's sensationalism. This is nothing more than bad daytime television. What you do is you absolutely seek out and make an example of stores, and I mean stores that are repeatedly in you know, the worst kind of let's just say not in compliance over and over again, and in a way that is deliberate. And let me see, what you're so busy putting those kind of retailers out of business, that you don't have time to write a massive hit piece, you know, in the daily news all about it with the most ridiculous. I mean, that kind of looks like a scene right before things get interesting. Ethan Hawke's precinct, assault on precinct 13.
Yeah.
Only there's let me see. Non-combustible nicotine products in non-PMTA authorized flavors. My goodness gracious, what will we do? I find it appalling how they've made it a publicity stunt. And all that does is show me that they're not actually invested in doing what's right for the community, putting bad actors out of business and noticing who's doing this by the book. What they're doing is selling papers, making headlines, getting noticed.
So I'll agree with you there in the aspect that we feel like some of this stuff, because John was talking about it a couple weeks back when we talked about the first one that we had kind of heard about recently, where there was this apparently a large seizure, which was followed with an article with basically a photoshopped picture, which wasn't even really the bust picture or anything like that. But we were kind of comically joking about how we weren't seeing the pictures of 50,000 vapes with the guy with the gun and like a bunch of guys standing cross-armed. But I will agree with you, Philip, in the aspect that I certainly believe that some of this is grandstanding, that they definitely want to put something out on the internet and out into the social atmosphere.
Did you see the chairs in the 6th precinct? They were literally just thrown in the back. 6th precinct in 6th grade. Hey, come to our play this year, please buy raffle tickets. Look at that. Look at how hastily that was put together to actually look like something newsworthy. It's not newsworthy. More importantly,
well, do you think this is a way to keep Bloomberg, Parents of Vaping, Truth Initiative feeling like, hey, we're trying, we're doing something here? I'm more so with them than it is for say for our benefit, or they're even for their obviously for their benefit, but it's just to keep those
look like we're doing something.
We're doing something, because I like we talked about before, I'm sure the FDA gets phone calls 3-4 times a week from Parents versus Vaping to Truth Initiative, Bloomberg's people asking, hey, what's being done? What's going on here? It seems like you guys aren't doing nothing. And that's why I brought it up earlier in the show. It's like, why now? Why are we in the last month seeing all these busts? Why now are they is law enforcement agencies across the US right now that slow to where they have the ability to go get the DOJ, go get ATF, and get them to do these things for them? Because it seemed like before, like those agencies were like, hey, we're way too fucking busy to go into vape shops and shut them down because they have flavored vapes. But now all of a sudden, like, what made this happen? Why is this all of a sudden becoming, let's get this done and have 2 or 3 a week?
You know what? I would actually think it has to do possibly with the community, of course, the community being, let's say, decidedly not impoverished, if I'm correct, on more upper middle class side of the spectrum, I would say. Let's say that an opportunity, if this is a legit vape shop that they got these products from, and not a jack of all convenience store resellers, whatever, I guess that's a big win, because vape stores that are not complying, let's just say they're becoming they were never that common, and they're becoming rarer every day. So you find one, wow, that needs to be front page news. And most importantly, I think it's actually good news, and that they are truly it's almost, it would be funny if it weren't so tragic, the amount of time they're spending literally selling this story like this is something that matters on the grander scale, which in fact I think it, if anything, it's taking away from time law enforcement should be involved in anything else. I don't want to see Yeah, vapes of any kind made available to kids from retailers all across the country, but that's just simply not the case. For every, let's just say, for every convenience store that's selling some vape that was tragically branded and made to look like some video game somewhere, I don't know how many other convenience stores are selling some third or fourth generation knockoff of White Claw and whatever to some kid who's going to get behind the wheel and drive home. I mean, that's we're talking about something that could be a deadly and very tragic situation. And we're talking about something that is for those who want to appease the community in which most often they are supposed to serve, whether they be police forces, politicians, officials, parents of that community. It's just, I really don't see how it effectively does any greater good in a given community when I see a picture like that, that it represents a drop in a zero bucket of products that kids shouldn't have. But I'll be damned if I recall the last time some kid picking up a vape and suddenly feeling, oh man, I should go, grab my dad's gun, put some bullets in it, and pop some shots up, and things get a little bit out of control. It's just not that kind of problem.
Well, and I'll agree with the vast majority of your points in terms of, and it goes to that comment that they're spending time and money on victimless crimes. But I'm going to go back to the aspect of regulation, right? Because as far as the community is concerned and the people who are at stake here, right? Not just the people who are vaping in general, right? Like most of us, don't own shops. We don't. We aren't developers. We don't create a lot of products. I mean, some people are DIY, do it yourself at home DIYers and stuff like that. What I'm just touching on is the element of regulation, right? Because we, in general, in most cases, have been asking for sensible regulation, right? And so one alternative that they've given us, which is the one that we're not seeking, is just take it all away, right? Let's just get rid of it all, because if we just get rid of it all, then for them, not us, for them, then they can say, well, we've gotten rid of it, so now we shouldn't have the problem anymore. And we're saying, well, hold on one second. Doing that doesn't benefit anyone, right? Because you've got people here who have kicked a habit that might have been multiple decades long, 10, 20, 30 years, who have found a product that works for them, whether they do it as a latch ditch effort to wean off of to get off of cigarettes, but then also to get off of vaping eventually as well, right? Because some people do use it for that purpose, and then there's other people who are like, well, I've weaned myself down, I've learned how, what it's all about. I understand that it's not detrimental, but anyway, going back to the sensible regulation thing. And so that's what we asked them. Like, we're looking for sensible regulation. So when it comes to that, while I feel you're right in the sense that we can say this is in large part is a lot of grandstanding, and they put it out there so people can go,
a polite word for what it really is.
Yeah, like you did something good. You got this stuff off the street. You saved my kid and all this other stuff. For the people who don't have a dog in the fight and think that that's actually doing something. But I do think that there is an element of it that has to be addressed, and that is, like you said, you need to go after the people that are doing it flagrantly, like intentionally trying to not check IDs when people come in and just sort of flippantly hand it out. So what we look at, I think, from our not a myopic view, but we look in our goldfish bowl and we go, well, look, if you want to really kind of set a precedent, we've got these legitimate vape shops, like, Allie's former vape shop, E-Cig Charleston and stuff like that. They're like, we ID everybody that walks in the door. We catch parents all the time that are trying to buy them for their kids. And the people who are really doing their due diligence to make sure that these things don't get into the hands of kids, whether it happens or not, from the other side channel. But if you're going to have people out there who don't respect some sense of regulation and are just sort of flippantly just like, I'm not going to check IDs, I'm just going to hand them out, I'm going to continue to sell them to kids, and I really don't care because I'm more worried about my hand over fist, I do think that there's some relevancy there where I do think you need to set an example with people who are just not following legitimate rules. Do they all need to be plastered on the 11 o'clock news?
That's where I have the problem, because the people, in my experience, those shops that needed to be put out of business by lack of any paying customers, or by local law enforcement, or just by word of mouth, or by people like me, concerned citizens. Those are quietly put out of business and nobody notices, and it's done quickly, efficiently, in the way it's supposed to happen. And guess what? That sends out the strongest message to all those who are quietly not doing the right thing, selling under the table to knowingly and repeatedly selling to underage kids, because that keeps them in business. That is the strongest message that can be sent, not this bullshit in the newspaper, because frankly, that's laughable. And a person who has, let's say, a 6-store chain, where they sell, hardware for, every kind of, smoking there is, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, right on. Well, I guess the spotlight's off me for the next 48 to 72 hours. There is a very, very effective way of scaring stores, truly bad, and stores that have a policy of don't ask, don't tell when it comes to age verification. And that is well, here we actually do have law enforcement at our alcohol beverage control board, people there who do care about. And listen, I'm not interested in putting anyone's business out of business or ratting on anybody. But if you are literally staying in business selling to underage kids, when you've got 10 shops right around you doing things the right way, have been for a decade, I'm gonna watch you bleed, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Well, we all of us here on this panel and everyone in chat knows where kids are really getting their stuff from. The odds of them going into a vape shop today to go get a disposable are pretty slim and none. So for every one that they do bust, like this one where they used an undercover agent to go into the shop and buy underage and buy something, we all know that they're using the apps. We know they're using Instagram, and we know they're using TikTok to get their stuff. They're using these apps. So that's my question. When are they going to make that transition and start enforcing that there? If they really want to take a bite out of this and get kids to stop buying vape products, they need to figure out how to get around that there on social media, because that's where the kids are really getting their stuff. Or it may be just one kid that's getting it, but he's supplying himself with enough stuff to sell to 100 kids.
Do you think it's just when every wealthy suburban white teenage kid ends up like grabbing an assist from the cops, going in and busting some because he got caught vaping in the bathroom, so he got part of his, he had to do part in a sting operation to get out of that, so he could go to a fucking whatever Ivy League school, all that kind of crap. Is this representative of how things are going out in the real world? Teenage kids have literally gotten over the vaping fad. It's truly the exception. Always has been. Never has been more the exception than it is now. And putting this on the front page of any paper, a Mad Magazine to the Onion, is just irresponsible, because it tells a story, an actual story, and it's not news. It's not newsworthy, and it also, in my humble opinion, most of the time is something of a security blanket to those retailers that need to be exposed for selling to underage kids, because it's sort of like, oh, the public is satisfied for the next little while, we should be good to go. And I'm not so certain they're wrong on that point. But
well, I would have to agree with Ern on the whole thing, is I think that if I have to go back to my youth, right, I would probably tell you that I would be more inclined to try to get something a little bit more clandestine style than have the balls to walk in to try to buy beer when I'm 16 and pass some fake ID over the counter. I mean, he's saying that it's very rare that he has a kid walk into the shop and try to buy stuff, but it does. There are the ballsy kids who will give it a go and just see if they can't they can't, defeat, the castle wall. But I think there's a large portion of kids who are like, I'm not trying that because my percentage of walking out with something is really low. I'm going to go find the backdoor app, or I'm going to go find my buddy who knows, he can get them from his cousin who gets them from his dad, who goes in and buys them for us. All you got to do is give him a $20 bill and he'll get you whatever you want.
I know that guy.
Everybody's got an uncle.
What's the name of that song? The Killers. That Uncle. Oh man, Uncle Johnny. Anyway,
Yeah, everyone has one of those uncles.
No, but Tim, you're not wrong about anything. I think we're both right, and the problem is, for every one of these front page pictures of a bunch, and that's not even that's hardly any product at all, right there.
Yeah, right.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
Bravo. But for every one of those, I mean, how many vape shops are still out there doing what they do right, educating people, selling, not even thinking about for a minute if there's a question of the person. Hell, I still have to have my ID on me to go into certain places around here, and it's just because they're being watched 24/7. They can be cited for having someone in there without valid identification. They don't even have to be of age. It's just having the ID on them. It's ridiculous around here. But in general, I would say that vape shops that have been in business, not ones that have popped up because the margins were just irresistible, you hear me on this, are still in business because they have a customer base that goes to them because they have helped them quit smoking, save their own lives, and probably a shit ton of money while they're at it.
Yeah. Well, shit, in some states now you don't even need an ID to vote.
And I don't see anyone doing front page, hey, meet, Vern, Vern's, Vape Emporium, who's been helping people in Suffolk County quit smoking since 2012. I don't see any of those stories.
What else I haven't noticed is I haven't seen any FDA showboating this. They haven't been in any of these photos. They haven't been in. They just kind of keep themselves out of the article. There's no mention of how proud they are of law enforcement. There's nothing. They're not tied to the article whatsoever.
I know it's hard to believe, but he's really that short, I'm joking.
Well, it's funny that you even brought that up, John. So, I mean, if we can continue on with the subject a little bit, let's talk about this particular article, because you mentioned the FDA and our wonderful buddy Brian King over there, who's just, he's just wonderful individual. The the arbiter of vape truth.
Ooh, good one.
The master of
steal that
macaroni.
title. He might steal that title.
All right, so let's talk about this.
Don't give him any help with his titles.
Well, they're trying to get into the conversation, John. So they're trying to sneak in there and make their presence known. So the name of this article, which I so cleverly saved for this particular show, FDA CTP Director Brian King, new guidelines on fines to be released this summer. So they're going to come at us hard with these new fines. So according to Canadian media platform BNN Bloomberg, another wonderful individual,
great piece of work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this that he's just one upstanding guy right there. On May 14th, Brian King, director of the Center for Tobacco Products (CTP) at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, stated that enforcement actions against illegal sales are escalating to crack down on unauthorized tobacco products such as flavored disposable e-cigarettes. He mentioned that fines may increase for those selling illegal products. Quote, "We have already begun to ramp up enforcement actions." Said, I apologize if you guys hear a squeaky toy in the background. I have a miniature dachshund who's completely fired up right now and ready to play with a squeaky toy. So if it sounds like I'm killing a bird in the background, I'm not. It's just this deformed plastic ball that still has the squeaky thing in it. Said Brian King, director of the FDA Center.
We were all thinking that.
Director of the FDA's Center for Tobacco Products at an event in Washington, D.C. King added that the agency is developing guidance. Of course, that wonderful guidance they like to develop because we got to move the goalposts to increase fines for unauthorized tobacco product sellers, with new guidelines on fines expected to be released this summer. Coming to a vape shop near you, coming to a smoke shop and bodega near you. Altria Group Incorporated recently called for the organization to take more action to combat disposable flavored e-cigarette products because we're destroying their cigarette sales. Manufactured in China that compete with its own authorized product. Yeah, the crappy stuff that you got through the cracks in the wall. Enjoy. The current maximum fine of $20,678 is considered too low compared to the potential profits, making it unlikely that retailers will be deterred from selling unauthorized products. Golden promised to take further action, such as the recent seizures of illegal products in California. He added that the proposed regulations on menthol tobacco and other tobacco flavors are still a priority for the FDA, as well as setting maximum nicotine levels in tobacco products. So we're getting the TPD treatment at some point in the game as well. But yeah, so Brian wants to slap you with a big fat fine now. Now, should we perceive this as more of the same? This is just, this is just the FDA grandstanding.
I'm doing something. I'm doing something because they authorized. Let me see. The fact of the matter is, only who but a well-endowed, currently in business tobacco company with a single authorized piece of shit would say 20 grand is too. Did they note any what the threshold is for number of offenses? What does that 20 grand represent? Well, let's just say, they send in a sting operation. They got the new guy on, didn't check the ID. The kid's got, a beer down to here, whatever. One infraction, should that cost a store that's been in business for years, never ever been in violation before? Should that cost them 21 grand? Well, I imagine Altria thinks so because, economies of scale. Yeah, gentlemen, that's not a big deal with that. Why are they doing this? Well, it's the saddest form of attempted market capture I've ever seen. They don't have a chance of selling. They don't have a chance of making much money with their harm reduction products as they are right now. Trust me when I tell you, the Ace, it ain't bad, but it ain't good. It's not as good as the Views tobacco. Hell, it's not as good as the My Blue tobacco ice, which is actually pretty good. I've tried them all. They need to redesign it. And the pods leak on planes, by the way, you fucking idiots. I apologize. So what I'd like to point out is I don't think anyone in the upper echelons of Altria who's coming to the literally the FDA's doorstep and saying enforce these new higher fines. That's that. They're not selling as many cigarettes as they once did, and they suck. Well, my advice to Altria Tobacco Company: why don't you take all of the resources you currently have and put them into creating a better mousetrap, i.e., a better tobacco flavor vape, if that's what it takes? Compete. You want to go ahead and make this about you pushing people around and making the government do your bidding because you can't innovate where others have for so many years. I'm sorry, there's no word for that.
How much of that really is the conflict, right? Because I mean, I don't want to call it conflict of interest, but if a cigarette manufacturer is in the business of selling cigarettes, why would they wholeheartedly, knowing that that's their cash cow, that's not going to really probably that's never going to get challenged? I mean, let's just be realistic.
Two things. They spent millions on a PMTA that was authorized, and their cigarette sales as a company are down markedly from 2 years ago.
Well, right, but if you look at both of them on the same plane, right, and you say, well, I've created a vape product that I paid a shit ton of money on to get a PMTA through, so I could keep these particular products on the market as an alternative, right? Because I've got those customers who are not smoking my cigarettes anymore. They're now vaping. So hey, I'm gonna be the champion, and I'm gonna keep a vaping product out there to keep those people happy, because I don't want to lose those customers. After all, they're still my customer. But I'm still looking at it from the aspect of apples to oranges. And so when they know that they've got, a product that, is still going to remain for, probably at least right now, the foreseeable future, that's going to be under intense scrutiny, whether it's tobacco flavor or whether it's peach cobbler, is going to be under scrutiny.
Yeah,
that could disappear from their market share almost immediately if the government wants to continue to have this heavy hand of justice. They know that there's going to be very little challenge when it comes to having their cigarettes stay on the market. So whether or not they feel like they may not win back a lot of those customers, I'm just questioning why a big tobacco industry seller would really want to go whole hog down the vape route, when I agree with you, Phillip, in the sense that, hey, why don't you guys just do the obvious? Why don't you just abandon the track that says we're going to keep this product on the shelves that we know is going to cause all kinds of health problems, potentially, and more likely death, and all kinds of just issues all down the chain, where I could transition that and put far more money into keeping a product on the market that is going to make me money. I'm going to get revenue coming from that.
Me is a million me's. These are publicly held companies. These are shareholders. These are people who don't give a fuck about anything other than seeing a dividend in their investment. Right. And trust me when I tell you that there is, well, at the end of the day, yeah, it's an ugly state of affairs, but all these tobacco companies, these are all publicly traded companies, and you can see right then and there they have to continue selling what sells in order to keep people invested in their company. And apparently Altria, they did a really, really terrible job of, paying way too much for Juul before the Juul God, it feels like lifetimes ago.
Yeah.
Before the Juul fiasco happened, which also happened to help millions of people quit smoking. And then they bought Enjoy. Enjoy's former founder, Mark, is out there. He may never stop throwing up. God bless you for doing what you've done. Mark, I believe is his name. Anyway, the point is they have, they are owned by the aggregate, and the aggregate is seeing zero movement traction in their harm reduction products because they're single authorized. And yeah, the ACE, it could be decent. It needs a little bit more research and development. What I'm seeing is you have Reynolds, instead of working on the Views Alto 2, instead of Altria working on an Enjoy Ace, with Bluetooth and with, a better coil heating element, something that has a richer flavor. What they're doing is they're, spending millions lobbying, states to ban every single vape, but the one that they can't sell because nobody fucking wants it.
Right. Because
everything, the very worst of the legitimate, illicit, unauthorized vaping products are just as good, if not better than theirs, and less expensive.
Yeah.
Aces, they're having a sale on Enjoy Ace Pods. You know what the average answer when I say that? They're having a sale on Ace Pods at Circle K. Number one answer, what the fuck is an Ace Pod?
I have no idea.
Don't worry, Microwave. You're not missing anything.
I'm saying there are no ad campaigns or nothing. What they're doing is they're putting all of their money into lobbying states to ban all the vaping devices that might take the business from what business their vaping devices aren't doing. So what it is essentially, making sure their shareholders know they're serious about selling cigarettes no matter what. And we can go back and, fix our defective vapes that nobody wants later. When in fact, I think for the most part, you got to hand it, to PMI for, innovating and being in countries where they can, sell, IQOS and, selling. I think PMI is also, do they own Zyn nicotine pouches as well?
I'm not sure who owns
And
that.
and whereas I've just never seen anything like Altria and Reynolds, their state by state crusade to destroy all competition to their cigarettes and their lackluster, albeit authorized vaping products that nobody wants, because shareholders are clamoring, do something because we're losing money. And it's funny that they only thought to do this. There aren't other ways that aren't like truly deplorable in the. Let's just say it, you have to really try hard to see this in any light other than despicable.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's what I was saying is, I mean, I just, I agree with you, that a lot of it has to do with shareholders and bottom lines and dividends and all that other good stuff. But I think what I'm saying is that, they, with the power that they have and the money that they have to, I'm not saying I'm lobbying for them, but to forge the way to at least create a way to keep it on the market. Why would people want to throw away so much money, and that revenue coming into the there you go, coming
this is
in
the blue, my blue.
Vape me, vape me, vape me, vape me. Is that what is it saying?
Well, no, I'm just I trying to finish my point. Is what I'm saying is that they would rather get rid of something that if they could have their claws in it a little bit more. I can't imagine that businessmen don't see an opportunity to make a lot of money having this alternative product out on the market. I'm not saying, I mean, we've been able to coexist in the sphere where Juul had flavors at one time just as much as we had flavors at the same time. We didn't choose to use a Juul just due to the stigma of it. You know what I mean? We didn't want to endorse or give our money to big tobacco because we were we are the industry that's trying to defeat that. So I think what I'm saying is I just think it's sort of ironic, that with the smoking rates down, that they're willing to fight so hard to preserve that in hopes that the people that they lost to vaping will somehow miraculously come rushing right back to them just because they can keep that other product available out on the market with very little resistance.
In the meantime, that other product isn't being refined or updated or even given its own publicity campaign. I mean, when was the last time you saw an Enjoy ad of any kind? I've literally had to look and ask at various gas stations across the country for newly authorized products. For example, you got the Views Zero, which you don't see anywhere. So basically, and the Enjoy Ace is the only authorized pod-based vape that can, I guess, that can compete with the likes of things like the UL Caliburn or something that has a similar sort of feel to it. Now, they have a rich tobacco flavor that I think is decent. I don't much like their classic tobacco. It's nothing like the Watson tobaccos I like, which of course are nothing like tobaccos because, well, I've outgrown the flavor of tobacco, as is my right. And by the way, whenever I say tobacco shop, I actually think of a proper tobacconist, who spent a lifetime learning about Cuban cigars and Hoyo de Monterey and fucking whatever. But what I'm thinking is how is it possible that maybe Altria and Reynolds are spending all this time trying to protect their authorized terrible products that aren't even available in most places, and if they are, nobody even knows what they are. Whereas everybody and their sister love them, hate them, or otherwise, they all know what an elf bar is. Juul still has a name. Altria lost I don't know how many millions between their Juul buy, their Juul sell off, and their Enjoy buy. I want to say, I don't know. They bought it for maybe, I don't know. We're talking a lot of money that they lost on Juul, and they bought Enjoy for a pittance in comparison. And I imagine their shareholders are somewhat leery
$4 billion,
about that.
right? It was $4 billion.
I thought it was closer to maybe 9. I think it was maybe 2.7 they acquired Enjoy. It was initially somewhere close to like 13 they spent acquiring Juul, and they sold it for like pennies. The thing is like Juul is currently I don't know if they have their PMTA submitted for their second generation, the Juul 2, but they're not, from what I can tell, they're not wasting time on the FDA to like actually authorize their old arcane, let's face it, Juul product, and they're moving on and they're making something new. I admire the shit out of that. I could care less who's doing it. If you're not getting any love from the FDA, go ahead. Put that fingerprint, activation on your device. Make it, trackable with Bluetooth. Whatever, the FDA wants. If you've got the money, if you've got nothing but big sweet tobacco buck cigarette dollars sitting around, and you can invent something that people will buy that's not a cigarette, but satisfies just the same, do it.
Yeah, you're right. It was 12.8 billion, and they also agreed to pay off the 235 million in lawsuits. The 6,000.
Yeah, but that's chump change to them.
Yeah, that's chump change.
And they
Chump change after you spend 12 billion.
And the people
I've
have been
always
ordered
been a
to pay
huge
more
fan
of
of
that in
Enjoy.
other court cases. Oh, by the way, Philip, you were right. Zyn is owned by PMI. Says here, Philip Morris International owns Zyn, a brand of nicotine pouches, after acquiring a Swedish Match AB in 2022 for $16 billion.
Jesus Christ, man, we're in the wrong
Swedish
business,
Match
guys.
is the largest producer of chewing tobacco in the United States and the biggest participant in the nicotine pouch category.
Yeah, that's one Conley taught me all about Swedish Match. The thing about Philip Morris International, you have to give it to them. They have walked the walk. They have, I believe that the combined sales from IQOS and their nicotine pouches worldwide have actually eclipsed the sales of their number one selling brand of cigarette. I'm not certain of this, but I believe it's official. That's some fucking shit right there.
Yeah.
And and right now, all Altria and Reynolds are managing to do is, keep themselves as unpopular as can be. Let's just say with people who understand what they're effectively doing. Like, that doesn't mean intentions mean zero to me in this one. There's just, you can talk all day long. I've seen it in the Alabama State House. It's undeniable what's taking place. What I think is, maybe they've drummed up a little more opposition than they wanted.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm here for it.
The collective thoughts. Does anybody out there still sort of find any shred of honesty or truthful intent when it comes to some of these bigger tobacco companies who have, created these arms of these organizations that are trying to push the non-combustible market, and they kind of had these sort of, I don't want to call them promissory notes, but maybe mission statements that they were going to put more focus on the non-combustible product market and, try to minimize their cigarette sales by pushing more tobacco harm related type products. I mean, wasn't it PMI who kind of had that kind of statement that came out on X about a year or so ago, where they were talking about how they were on this mission for
the
a
Foundation for a Smoke-Free World that was it was initially funded with a lump payment from Philip Morris International and given over to Charles Gardner ran it for quite a long time. Derek Yacht, former World Health Organization ambassador, much like Charles, and currently Cliff Douglas, who has, let's just say, been trying to say what you want. Love Cliff, don't love Cliff. No one has been working hard to try and help people who can't quit smoking do something about it. And I have my admiration for Cliff Douglas is endless, because what he's doing right now, he's having to rebrand the foundation, which no longer has any funding from PMI, but it started with PMI. And I've done a lot of digging on this one. Everything that I know about Foundation for Smoke-Free World, they were given the grant. It was a yearly stipend and went from 80 million to 40 million because it was just maligned by every single public health group there is. They're said like, no, we won't touch it. Even when I found no reason, not through Charles, not through Derek Yacht, not through anyone, to doubt the legitimacy, or rather its own independence from Philip Morris International, meaning that what was being done at that foundation was completely separate from what was being done. And Philip Morris, their input, they had zero input on how that foundation was, how things were handled there and what their campaigns were about. But anyway, Cliff Douglas, from what I can see, he's let's just say, even the likes of your Bloomberg Philanthropies, your Tobacco Free Kids, when Cliff Douglas took over the reins at Foundation for a Smoke-Free World, they all said, well, Cliff Douglas used to be a good guy, but don't trust him anymore. Now he's a bad guy because he's gone over to the dark side. Well, Cliff has effectively ignored their attempted, like, we're talking some serious, Joe McCarthy blacklisting shit. And he has changed the name of the organization, brought absolute credibility to it. I don't think there's anyone more respected. We disagree on several points, but he is fighting tooth and nail for the FDA to get off their hands and educate the public about the continuum of risk among tobacco products, for the sake of people who are going to continue smoking, because he cannot stand to see people die needlessly, especially those people, like we always talk about, the most vulnerable, the ones who just believe all the nonsense. And he's doing it. But yes, all that was started by Philip Morris International. I've never had reason to doubt its legitimacy, and they have they've been true to their word. They have stuck with their harm reduction products, and they are turning a harm reduction profit. And I can't imagine anything. That's makes me want to celebrate.
Tim, you have any news, or those two articles that I put in there?
So I did have a couple that we could talk about, but let me see what you.
I think the second one, I just noticed you have to pay to read it. So
okay,
forget about that third one.
I'm not going to be paying for it. Let's see what this one's about.
The New York Post one.
Okay, well that one seems sort of sensational. So let's talk about a new study, right? Let's talk about a new study. I found this one to be rather interesting. Sorry, I was just checking in on our dear friend Amanda Wheeler. I was trying to see what she's been up to lately. I haven't heard her name mentioned often more recently, so I was a little concerned seeing where she's at, what she's doing with her life. Seems like she's still at PMI. At least her LinkedIn still says PMI. So let's look at this new study. This one here. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. I got stuck there for a second, folks. Look at that
Dang.
wonderful AI photo right there, John.
Wow.
I empathized with John. He made a comment on the old Facebookers the other day about how he got a little ticked off that the Northern Lights experience, a lot of it was AI generated.
Fucking pissed me off, man.
Yeah. So let's not make John any sadder realizing that his Northern Lights photos were AI. How come what is going on? What is going on that I can't make the screen bigger? Something is happening on the. Oh, I see what it was. Hold on one second.
Closed
All
like 4 tabs.
No, it's what it was doing is it's making the left side screen bigger and not the
Oh.
article screen. I was trying to change this one right here, this one. I was clicking the wrong browser window, John.
No.
Noob. That was a noob move. Sorry, kids. All right.
Newbie,
New
newbie.
study highlights the impact of nicotine pouches and e-cigarettes on smokers. So this is rather new. This is not some old dredged up article. This is written by Richard Crosby just here recently, not but a day or so ago. So the Nicotine and Tobacco Research Journal recently published a pilot study examining how access to alternative nicotine products such as nicotine pouches and e-cigarettes affect smokers. The study specifically focused on individuals with low socioeconomic status, a demographic often overlooked in discussions about creating a smoke-free society. And we've talked about that before in the past, only because we say that those are typically the areas and the communities that are more inclined to be smokers in general terms, just due to a lot of the different demographical challenges. But smoking rates are a lot higher, so why not get these types of products into their hands? So there's 4 sections to this. The criteria for the participants. I can't read. Adults who had smoked daily for at least 6 months. I don't know what age group that is. I mean, most people, if you get beyond about mid-20s to early 30s, I would say most of them probably already been smoking for years. Earning less than 250% of the federal poverty level. No intention of quitting smoking within the next 30 days. Like my cigarettes. I like my cigarette in the morning. Sorry, I didn't mean to
offend a whole section of the United States.
Stereotypical, like every smoker has a southern drawl. That's not true.
Oh my
I don't have.
God, you're making fun of me again.
Yes, I am. People say that I have a Virginia accent. If anyone can ever
rude, despicable,
can never define for me exactly what a Virginia accent.
At least you get Virginia. I get Texas all the time. I'm like, fuck you.
So you use the word y'all a lot? Do you use the word y'all a lot, Tim?
Fuck y'all. Well, that is a Georgia thing. Yeah. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Have you been smoking for more than 6 months? All right. So
and do you use the phrase "bless your heart"?
Oh, bless his little heart.
Yeah, in jest. Sometimes I wonder.
That's what we say about Brian. Joke. That's what we say about Brian King all the time. Yeah. Well, bless your little heart. Yeah. I think you all know what that means. Participants were divided into 3 groups. E-cigarette users, 5% nicotine, which that means 50 milligram. Nicotine pouch users, 4 milligrams of nicotine, and control group, no alternative nicotine products. So over an 8-week period, researchers monitored the daily cigarette consumption of participants. For this 2023 study, the qualifying income for a single person was less than $36,000 a year, which is 250% of $14,580, the federal poverty level. For context, the average U.S. salary is nearly $60,000. And that's relevancy, though, to me, right? I mean, if you see that you're like, whoa, people are making $60 a year. People aren't doing so bad. Well, I think it's all relevant to the cost of living and stuff that's going on. 60 grand don't take you very far nowadays, unless you got 4 of you living in the same house. The trial included 45 participants, 18 in the e-cigarette group, 18 in the nicotine pouch group, and 9 in the control group that got nothing. You got nothing but a pamphlet and a good luck pat on the back. 33 participants completed the 8-week trial. The average participant was participant age was 50, with an average of 14 cigarettes smoked per day. And I think that's about average. I think if we all look back on, well, I think Philip, you were a little bit more aggressive, but
I was a 2-pack a day smoker myself.
you were
so,
two.
yeah,
Philip,
easily.
how many were
Very-
you?
I was nearing 3 packs a day, somewhere
right.
around 2.75.
Okay, so I was about a pack a day smoker,
Yeah.
unless I went out drinking that night. And
Yeah.
then, it easily started climbing into the second pack, range.
Drinks and smokes for all my friends. Yep,
Exactly.
me too. Mhm.
Peanuts, popcorn, party tricks.
And Tim, don't forget the cigarette vending machine was right there at the bar.
Absolutely. with the stupid pull lever that you'd pull that lever and then nothing would come out and you'd be madder than hell.
First cigarette score. Actually, my second cigarette score.
Yeah,
4 quarters Merit Light out of
Merit.
not
Capris. Not Capris.
Man, Capris were like nowhere on the market.
Not then.
Like I'm in 7th grade at Gus's Hot Dogs while nobody's looking, because the old lady that owned the place at the time, she would have taken that fucking frying pan out from behind there and beaten the shit out of me. I just got lucky. I don't know how I did it. 4 quarters. That's how much it costs.
Yes, I remember those days quite well. So from the e-cigarette group, participants reduced their cigarette consumption. Look at this, from 14.7 to 2.9 per day. That's a pretty significant drop. So they were going to over a pack a day. Well, not over a pack, 14.7. So about almost a full pack down to not even
33 completed the 8-week trial. Does it say? Okay, so that's okay. So they only had 33 out of 36.
Right. Well, so there was obviously 3 people who didn't make it through.
Okay.
I'm guessing the control group people dropped out because what results are they going to generate? I mean, they're the control group. They had no alternative offered to them other than no alternative nicotine product was offered to them. So they were given probably something a little bit more along the lines of a pamphlet or call this number and maybe you could quit cold turkey or something like that. Didn't get it.
Maybe they just intended, maybe they expressed a desire. I imagine these participants all expressed a desire to quit.
No, it said that they had no desire to quit.
No desire.
Yeah,
so they had to be. So they had to be a smoker of a certain age, a certain level of under at the earning less than 250% of the okay. Right. No intention of quitting smoking within the next 30 days. Age, there was nothing.
Average age was 50. Age was 50. So if you have an average age person at 50 years old who's a smoker with no intention of quitting in the next 30 days, I guarantee you they've been smoking for way more than 6 months.
Yeah.
So these are people who are ingrained in the smoking habit, right? These are people that have one first thing in the morning, have one after lunch, take their regular cigarette breaks. So I'm thinking the control group was people that were said, hey, look, we're not going to give you an alternative nicotine product, but we want you to try this.
Just by virtue of the fact that they're the control group in a study where people have no interest in quitting smoking, but they're giving alternatives to cigarettes. Well, I don't know how that works out. Plus, why is the control group half of the study group size? I don't understand. 45 participants is kind of ridiculous. Well,
there must have been some incentive here, right, to get involved, because why would you have a control group if you're talking to people that have no intention to quit in the next 30 days? But in order to have a control group, you have to have them trying something to quit. Yeah. So these are people that said, I don't want to quit, but I'm willing to try some methodology.
The parameters of this are pretty poorly defined. It would have to, they must have expressed no interest in quitting, but would be open to trying certain things, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how you control for that in this particular situation, unless you're specifically giving them some sort of pharmaceutical nicotine product, or like you said, meditation and
So the baseline for that,
they gave him $50 and a pamphlet.
I love what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, the parameters along with the end here, it's kind of on the laughable side, but I don't believe for one second that you couldn't replicate those results on a much grander scale given the resources. Yeah, I have no idea where this came from. I'm just looking at the results. Sounds on point. We just need to figure out a way to actually make it a real study, man. Well defined.
Well, I think there's been other studies that have kind of tested the same sorts of criteria. You know, they've had. I mean, this is just probably a little bit more repetitious, but I think what we're looking for here is to see what results this particular study garnered. They had a particular set of criteria that these people had to fall into to see exactly what the results were given these particular 3 types of approaches, either the nicotine pouch. There was no NRTs involved in this, right? So they're not getting Nicorette. Well, who knows? Maybe the control, but it said no alternative nicotine products. So these people weren't even getting NRTs.
Yeah.
So they got no gums, no patches, no nothing else. No.
See, these are exactly. This is the group of people that I would think about every day, because it sickens me that they the majority of them believe e-cigarettes to be on the same level of risk, health harms as cigarettes. That said, what kind of new information were they provided with that led them to believe that e-cigarettes or nicotine pouches were synonymous with quitting smoking?
Well, I think the larger the study group, the different the results are going to be, right? So if you increase that number from 18 people in the e-cigarette group to say 450, it'd be interesting to see where these numbers go. But I mean,
were those participants aware that, of the health benefits of reducing their cigarette?
They don't state that in the particular article. It sounds to me like this was pretty straightforward. This is taking a certain criteria built around a certain group of people that they've been smoking for at least more than 6 months. They had no intent to quit in the next 30 days. And what was the other third thing? They were earning less than 250% of the federal poverty level.
So this will not be in Monday's edition of Scientific American. Am I correct in assuming this?
More than likely, right? So, but let's just see what the results were in general terms, because again, we're talking about targeting a particular demographic, which is known to have very high smoking rates anyway. Right.
No,
and these are the people that they want to take your menthol away and reduce nicotine cigarettes and all this other stuff. And these are the people that are probably going to be most affected when it's all said and done. So from the nicotine pouch group, cigarette consumption dropped from 15 a day to 8.3 per day. One participant switched entirely to nicotine pouches. The 4 milligram pouches are relatively low strength compared to the 5% e-cigarette pods, suggesting stronger pouches might yield different results in future studies. And we've said that time and time again, that people who are looking to transition from smoking to vaping, one way that you hold or you keep that retention and keep them vaping is if you give them a relative experience to come off of smoking, right? Because these, which kind of caters to what they were saying, is that they had the 50 milligram whatevers. Who knows what they gave them? They didn't say, oh, they were Juuls or they were Enjoys or whatever. They could have been disposables on the e-cigarette side, right?
Yeah.
So we don't really know exactly what it is that they got, but I would think that those results make sense, because it seems as though the people that were given the e-cigarettes had better success because they were a pack-a-day smoker, right? So they needed a higher level of nicotine in order to keep them occupied. Otherwise, they would more than likely run back to a cigarette. Where these people, obviously went from 15 down to 8.3. Not as great.
I disagree completely with the statement. 4 milligram pouches, relatively low strength as compared to the e-cigarette pods. Here's where we get into a big problem here. I don't believe that the strength of the nicotine in pouches or the strength of the nicotine, even in e-cigarette pods, is nearly as important, as consistent with people who end up quitting smoking, is a consistent and enjoyable experience. I've tried 12 milligram nicotine pouches in pretty much any flavor. In flavors I like very much. In 12 milligram, they taste terrible. They're literally intolerable to me. And in that same flavor at 6, they're good, and even better at 3. And you can pop them pretty much anytime, as many times a day as you want. You know, how many 3 milligram enjoyable pouches does it take to equal 112 milligram that you spit out? We don't know. The point is, it's hard to compare. You've got their cigarette consumption dropped from 15 to 8.3 a day, but they're not trying to quantify what strength. I don't know. I'd like to know more about, you know, what the volume, you know, of pouches they were going through as opposed to the individual pouch strength.
Well, right, but here would be my take on it, right? Is that you're having somebody go from a hand to mouth action, right? That, you know, there's something that we all get addicted to as part of the smoking process, is that, you know, you're using your hands, it's to your mouth.
Absolutely.
And now you're saying, hey, take this thing and just stick it in your mouth, and then you lose that element of that that exercise that you're so very used to. And I think that removes people, like fish out of water kind of experience, right? It's like, I'm just not as interested. It's not as satisfying to me, because while I'm getting my nicotine ingestion, I'm just like I want to go out for my smoke break. I mean, it's just doesn't seem as enjoyable to me to run outside with all the smokers and pop a pouch in your mouth and stand around and have a water cooler conversation.
You ever been asked on a relatively packed flight not to hit that? I think it was the Flume Pebble, straw melon, something. Let's just say it's a level of shame and embarrassment that you do not want to have to go through ever again. That said, I do have juice heads pouches, and that's another thing that I'm surprised at how dramatic the drop is on this too, and that's something else that let's just say I'd like to know more about what they did, what these people were told, and I don't think that the strength of the pouches in particular matters. I think it's how acceptable people find them, how much they enjoy them.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I'm just saying the differential in the behavior that surrounds the activity is a dramatic difference.
Here's one for you, Tim. I actually think that if they were to go from 4 to 8 milligram pouches, cigarette consumption would have dropped less. I think they probably would have continued smoking more, because they would have found them. Let's just say that's pretty strong. And
that could be, it could have given them a buzz that they probably weren't prepared for. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was a smoker, and then every now and again, you know, I would indulge with my friends and do a dip every once in a while, and that shit would cause my head to spin.
Yeah, the Kodiak stuff, like the really super strong stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was powerful.
To the point where, you know, I kind of got in a couple throw up situations because I accidentally swallowed a little bit of it. But beside that point, I'm thinking, for me, if I had to look at, you know, if I want to make sure that I'm staying off of cigarettes and I'm not having those cravings, I would much more rather prefer to be a vapor when I can be a vapor. And then if I'm in situations where I can't vape, or I need to kill that craving, so you know, a pouch seems to fit the bill, right? If I'm on a plane, or I'm somewhere, like I go to a musical or something, and it's a 3-hour Fiddler on the Roof musical, you know, and you're like, shit, I would love to run out for a cigarette right now because I've had 2 cocktails while I'm in here during the musical. A pouch would fill the gap for me. So I have to, I should say, I'm not surprised by the result here that the pouch people didn't have nearly as much success as the people who switched to e-cigarettes. But let's look at the implications. The pilot study, though small, offers promising insights for harm reduction among smokers, especially those with low socioeconomic status. Smokers who are not interested in quitting cigarettes present a significant public health challenge, and smoking is a major contributor to those health disparities linked to income. And I think that that's also relevant too, because people who are in a better economic position. You know, they make more money.
Yeah.
They've been able to save more money. They've got stronger financial resources around them. If they're going to encounter health depravities because of smoking, they're more inclined to have insurance and things
Yeah.
like that to help them combat those things. You know, even though we know cancer sometimes is inevitably, a battle many won't win, but people in these socioeconomic demographics, there's no way they could, are going to have the insurance that's going to help pay for
Right.
them to combat their cancer or their health issues, whether it be COPD or emphysema or any other kind of thing that they might encounter along the way. So this is an important thing to state, because these are people
Right.
who for me, they just scream that meme. When you say, a patient cured is a customer lost, right?
Yeah.
So, but this is an important study. I think, although the study group is small, public discourse around alternative nicotine products
No, I agree.
often misses the mark, focusing instead on middle class anxieties. Those concerned about youth vaping should focus on parenting rather than advocating for government bans that could widen health disparities. And I think that that's another big difference in the socioeconomic groups. People in the middle class to upper class, while it's something that they can indulge in, they inherently will have better resources around them or family structure that would be conducive to helping them get away from cigarettes, even if vaping and pouches weren't a part of that equation.
Right.
Although I agree with the part about public discourse and missing the mark, and you should stop focusing on middle class anxieties. When they decide to do the big boy study, I hope they leave that editorial bit out, just for the sake of credulity.
Well, true, but I think but I will agree that I think that this particular study addresses a demographic of people that are dramatically overlooked when it comes to the fight of tobacco harm reduction. And that is that you're going to take the product that you could offer to them to help them get away from smoking, but you've made that alternative more expensive
Yeah.
than the thing that's killing them, right? So they're more inclined to stick with that thing that they can afford. And that would be cigarettes or cigarellos or any of those other combustible products that are available at the 5 and dimes and the cash and carries and the drugstores around the corner.
Even at full price, for example, I think Views Alto pods average around, I would say, 2 for $15. And I would say, I think the pods are, I think they're 2 milliliters each. It takes, and we're talking just vaping the Views pod or this blue pod. It takes me, I would say, giving it a really focused, concerted effort, 36 hours at least to burn one pod. So let's just assume that I can go through a pod a day. You're still not eclipsing the average price for a pack of smokes.
No, I mean, I agree with you, but my feeling is that, people are probably a little bit more voracious when it comes to, probably their early experience with vaping. They don't really know what they're touching, what they're doing, what they're experiencing,
Yeah.
more inclined to get nick sick just because, like, oh, look at this newfangled thing, and they just think that they can puff on it like a cigarette. And so until they kind of settle into the habit of it.
I had a
Yeah.
full-on Martian green nicotine pouch moment. We'll talk about that some other show.
Exactly. Okay. So summing things up, this trial underscores the importance of considering socioeconomic factors in smoking harm reduction efforts. The focus should be on protecting the health of working people rather than succumbing to the misplaced fears of a vocal minority. It's crucial to prioritize the well-being of all smokers, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Very true statement. Yeah, I mean, you can take this study for what it's worth. But I do think that it does highlight the efficacy of e-cigarettes and nicotine pouches and alternatives that may or may not be stuff that the FDA has, vehemently approved and put out there and try to push on us.
I wonder. I would love to see a study, a sound method. I don't know. I mean, I can't come up with a method right off the top of my head. Um, Having to do with people in this socioeconomic group, lower income, older adults who smoke, who believe e-cigarettes and cigarettes to be, equally harmful. I'd love to know if there are any, current cigarette smokers who might prefer the convenience and, the whole, the lack of ash and no smell. And well, you know, let's just say it was a big win for me to uh, had an ashtray like leprechauns had pots of gold. I mean, they were just filled to the brim. And to this day, I maintain that no matter how strong and disgusting your vape smells when you vape it, that smell does not ever find its
No.
way into any sofa or any fabric permanently. That's my I'll die on that hill. But what I'm wondering is people who think cigarettes and e-cigarettes are on the same continuum of risk, have the exact same health hazards. How many of those presented with both products, knowing that cigarettes are always going to be ever so slightly, no matter how ridiculous the taxes are? I don't know of a state in which they've actually managed to make it using the really arcane, useless pod equals a pack, just going by that, you're still saving money. I wonder how many would find e-cigarettes equally, if not more satisfying, even not giving a rat's ass about their health, just wanting to save a few bucks and not wanting to hear a mouthful from company about how their place smells like an ashtray.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to have a mixed bag on that one. I think people will inherently, I mean, it's all relevant, I think, to the information that they possess or the information that they're being given.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of people, maybe in some of these socioeconomic areas, these particular demographics, that may not have access to the right kinds of vape stores and vape shops. They're gonna be absorbing information that they get online, because everybody's got a phone, everybody's got access to the internet, so they're going to read what they're going to read. And then when they take that information and then they look at their wallet and they go, well, why would I want to buy something that supposedly is worse than smoking and is costing more than
You just said it. We know what doesn't work as far as effective health communication here. We know what doesn't work, and that is inundating them with a bunch of crap that they don't care about, only to come out of it not understanding half of what was said about continuum of risk and 95% less harmful, blah blah blah, orders of magnitude. People don't want to hear about any of that. People want to be given their choice as a consumer, and they want options. Give people options. I think people can change. Tell people that this is what they can have. They will resist to varying levels. Take options away, and that resistance becomes defiance. On a personal.
But what else do they get? What else do you think more like nowadays, right? I mean, and I'm just comparing this to what I saw on TV and in the magazines, say 10 years ago, right? And I'm saying, but what do people get access to more often now than anything? You more are likely to get a commercial on late night TV that talks about the harms of vaping and the worms in the brain. You're more than likely to see an insert within a magazine that talks about how dangerous vaping is and how addictive and horrible it is. You're going to get, and you're going to get the articles, the gotcha headlines, where they're going to show a picture of a kid or a young adult laying in a
Blackened
hospital bed
lungs.
with well, no, like a youthful looking person laying in a hospital bed with a ventilator hooked up to them, with this story about how they needed to quit vaping because they nearly lost a lung, right? They're getting that more often now. What don't you get much anymore is what we saw, like even 5 to 8 years ago, was the commercial on TV with the person who smoked for 35 years that now has the little voice box that they got to hold up to their throat, or they show the hole in their neck because they have throat cancer and they had to have their airway rerouted. And those are people who inherently, some of them are so addicted to cigarettes they're smoking through the hole. So what I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that it's about the information that we're given, and they don't get exposed or see the commercials anymore talking, even though they get the warning label on the freaking box that can cause cancer and premature births and all this other stuff. You don't see the scary commercials about what cigarettes can do anymore. All you get anymore is exactly how horrible vaping is, and then you have to do 6 in one hand, half a dozen of the other. Like, wow, cigarettes must not be that bad. They shut up about the people with the voice boxes.
This is the point where I have an important message. As much as we are we don't much care for the way Altria is behaving right now, or Reynolds, I will say this. I have found it somewhat. I found some success in letting adults who I do and do not know who smoke, who are set in their ways, that these are indeed FDA authorized, and they are currently on sale. This is the Rich Tobacco 5% salt nic. And say what you want. I'd rather them get an Enjoy Ace than another pack of Winston's. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said for being able, when someone, I have an Enjoy Ace, so I'm actually, Deirdre just took it outside. You
woman, you nice woman, you nice woman.
You dare.
But what I'm trying to say is, when someone comes up to you, is like, oh, aren't those things just as horrible? Yes, we all know that the FDA has authorized all kinds of cigarettes this year. No, well, actually, this one has been authorized by the FDA as appropriate for the protection of public health. And you don't need to say another goddamn thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go out and buy stock in Altria.
Right.
What it means is they might take a closer look into the corners of the FDA's website, which actually has a little bit about how different tobacco products carry different health risks.
All right, guys, we are at that time. Thank you, Philip, for joining us tonight, and Timmy. I know everyone noticed that I didn't do Birdman's In the Vapor. We had to reschedule. It's that Australian time. We got mixed up on that. I thought this day ran into that day. It was really a mess. So it's going to be Friday. Friday. I put it in the chat. Let me share the screen. Let me share that screen. Here you go. This is the time. The difference is 17 hours from my time. So the Birdman will be with me Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, that is one hell of a mech mod that you're looking at there.
That's
Phil.
the one that got away.
That
Joe.
looks like the guy that used to like wick hard, that Norwegian dude. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Mazel Tov. Enjoy. I may not be able to join. The Birdman 69.
Birdman wicks his stack mod with his beard.
You don't understand. This guy had, I don't know, like
the flute.
8 RTAs that were all wicked with like different food coloring to show their absorption rate, and he was crazy. Olsen something. Anyway,
he's on IG if you want to find him on Instagram.
No, hey, I admired the hell
He's a mech mod
passion.
guy. And he's from Australia. So so we got kind of our time screwed up last week, and I thought
is that who he is?
That's who he is.
World famous, man.
Yeah, so he's going to be with us Friday at 7 a.m. That's 17 hours. That's midnight the next day in Australia.
So this is
clocks, kids.
The legend. Oh my goodness! I actually might have to join.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's
he
a good
will be
one.
with us.
That's a good one, Mallory. She said that's not a beer on brewing. That's a litter of cats.
That's what
Anyway,
it
I
is.
want to say thanks to all of our viewers for, and especially John, Tim, Ali, wherever you are, for being patient. It's been a hell of a month, and I look forward to getting back into the routine and getting some new and interesting guests on this show. Because frankly, I hate listening to myself talk somewhere around the hour and 45-minute mark. God damn it!
All right, guys, look in the camera and wave goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming on the show. We'll see you next week.